Hey, welcome back to the Joy and Resilience Practice Podcast. This is episode 2 of season 2. Today's title is Food, Joy, and Resilience, Nourishing More Than Hunger. We're helping you thrive one story at a time. I'm Mike Cameron, and today we're talking about something we all experience every single day, something we need, something we share, something that often connects us to our deepest memories. Food. Not calories, not diets, not food trends, just food. Food is comfort, food as culture, food as celebration, food as caregiving, food as connection, food as memory, food as resilience. Because food is rarely just food. It's often where stories live. It's grandma's biscuits. It's your dad's favorite meal. It's Sunday dinners, birthday cakes, road trip snacks, coffee dates, holiday traditions, takeout after a hard week. It's the casserole someone drops off when you've experienced a loss. It's the meals someone makes because they know you don't have the energy to cook. It's nourishment because it's also belonging. And I think food teaches us something really important about resilience. Resilience isn't only about pushing through difficult seasons. Sometimes resilience looks like remembering to eat lunch, sitting down, taking a breath, sharing a meal, accepting help, or making your favorite comfort food because today simply requires a little extra kindness. I've also learned that some of life's biggest crises aren't actually existential crises. Sometimes you're just tired, hungry, slightly overwhelmed, and need a grilled cheese sandwich. Or maybe a cinnamon roll, possibly both. I would probably have both. And honestly, sometimes that's the intervention. Today, we're exploring how food nourishes not only our bodies, but our relationships, our identities, our capacity, and our joy. Because maybe resilience isn't just about surviving. Maybe it's also about learning how to be nourished. So let's get into it. Of course, we've got Alex, our producer over there. Hi, Alex. Hi, he's surprised he said hi. And then today, I'm joined by Becca Green-LaPierre, someone who understands the important role food can play in our well-being, our communities, and our stories. Together, we're exploring what it means to nourish ourselves and one another through life celebrations, traditions, transitions, and challenges. Hey, Becca, how are you doing?
Hello, Mike. I'm doing okay. Thanks for having me.
Well, welcome to the podcast. So season 2, episode 2, we have you here. Can you give us a little intro and what you want to share about yourself, Becca?
Super. So I am a mom of 2 amazing teenagers, and I've been cooking and making meals and growing food for a long time. I grew up on a little farm in southern Ontario, and I always say that I never had much of a babysitter. Mm-hmm. My babysitter was my chore list. We'd wake up and my sister and I would have hoe the beans, pick the strawberries. I just have all
food is there.
Food has been a huge part of my life. And I think when I was in grade 7, so just 12 years old, I knew I wanted to become a dietitian.
Oh, a dietitian.
And
okay.
And so that's what I do for work is in a paid capacity. I'm a dietitian at Public Health.
Right.
But I've had a lot of different jobs in a lot of different settings over the past 20 years because I love your intro. Food really is way more than just calories and nutrients. Right. It is culture and so much. And so I have the privilege now of working in public health and looking at food security and the importance of accessible food as well as local food and supporting our local environment and economy. And I'm really excited to chat more about this topic.
Oh, that's great. And that's why I asked you. And I know you were a tiny bit nervous, but I'm it's just a conversation between you and I, and it is a topic that you're passionate about. I also know you do some other work that's connected to that, which is the Annapolis Valley
Community Food Council. You helped start it.
I was just part of it. I wasn't I was there when the name transitioned, and I know we involved with the food link, but I know you do lots of those sort of things too. So we mentioned a bit of that at the start. So where would you like to start on the discussion on food? What brings you back to your childhood, or do you want to talk about where would you want to start in on a conversation, Becca?
Oh, yeah, there's so many entry points for this topic. When you and I first hashed out this idea of this as a podcast topic, you mentioned a bit about the food insecurity piece, how a lot of people are don't have access to the food they want. But the first thing I would actually really like to talk about is just in general, our relationship with food and how often I find that people give food so much power that it can make them feel bad about themselves or feel like they've made bad decisions. Like, how often do you hear people say, "Oh, I've been bad. I had the cinnamon bun and the grilled cheese sandwich," right?
Yeah, right.
Or we'll say, "Oh, I can't eat that. That's bad." And we give food like almost like it has morality, and really,
it's a person.
How can we just look at food and be like, "Oh, that is the cinnamon bun, and it's delicious," or how can we just stop giving food so much power? And so I don't know how we want to chat a bit more about that, but I feel pretty passionate about just like letting food be neutral. And letting ourselves, just giving us grace that we can enjoy food because it is about celebrating and it is about when we're having the bad week. And it can meet a lot of our needs.
And I think I'm hearing it too. And I know I said some things in the entry points of the episode. Food has that power. It's got lots of different aspects to it. And like you're saying, how many times do you think about how food is used in a positive way? So what happens if you think of going for tea at your grandmother's? What are they actually doing? It's time to sit, talk, maybe not talk, maybe sit together over tea and biscuits. Or is it the family gathering? And maybe it happens in your household. I'm suspecting it does. Kids are chopping something and you're making something. There's that potential to work together to create something. Where do you see that needs to be brought more into a way of lifestyle?
I would say definitely in my work capacity, we talk a lot about something we call food neutral language. And just, when we look at, the food guide, I think it's been out for 6 years now, a little over 6 years. It really talks about the importance of coming together, eating together, using food as a means of like just family bonding or friend bonding and making more resilient families that eat together and whatnot. And not just looking at it as, protein, carbohydrates, fat, vitamins, and minerals.
You did say the term food neutral.
Yeah.
So what's an example, or how would that be explained to somebody?
Yeah. So food neutral is just saying like food is food. It doesn't have good or bad morals. And so calling the cinnamon bun a cinnamon bun instead of junk food or like bad food or something like that. Or when you see someone eating whatever their lunch is, instead of saying, "Oh, that looks really healthy," saying, "Oh, that looks and smells delicious. How was your lunch?"
More positive.
Yeah. And instead of kind of setting it up for making them feel like they need to justify their lunch, like, "Oh, I'm having a hard day, so I got extra fries." Like, we don't want people to feel guilty about food because then we're giving it this power
and stigma.
That it can it can steal your joy if people comment on your food. And I've seen it so much in my work setting, be it like in individual practice or like in the school setting where kids can feel really guilty about what's in their lunch, or a friend can feel really like they need to justify what they're eating. And we just give it too much power. And so this idea of food neutral language.
And it's also, there's a choice there too on how you respond to it. The same thing you just made me think of workplaces I've been in, and we do everyone calls it a potluck, but I call it a planned lunch actually. People are all signed up and but people call it potluck, but they're bringing certain things. But then you hear people like, "Oh, we can't have the spaghetti and the ice cream." And I would always say, "Why not?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a lot of calories." You're an adult. You don't have to eat either one. You could eat some of one or some, like, I'm not going to monitor what you're eating or not eating. Like, you need to decide if you want the pasta and the ice cream. That's on you. Yeah. But that's not what happens.
Oh, no. But I think at the same time, like, this is maybe veering to a different topic. We also really rely on friends and family to support us in our health goals. And that's great too, right? So I can be at that same work planned lunch with you, and I can be like, "All right, I'm going to choose to bring something that I know is more in line with my values or my health needs." but it doesn't mean I have to expect the same of you. But we can certainly cheer each other on in our health journeys and our journeys to have good relationships with food.
Have good relationships with food. Where do you see, like in your experience in work, Becca, is it adults, kids, both, that need further support with food choices and how they can access various types of food?
I think everyone, you and I are maybe over the age of 40. I don't want to place an age on you.
Definitely.
Are you perpetually 29 maybe? But, I'm sure we both grew up with they're starving kids in Africa. You got to finish your plate. You can't have dessert unless China, you eat this, right? So we have these preconceived, very well learned thoughts and beliefs about food.
The beliefs
that we pass on to other people that we're around. And so we have some unlearning to do around the values of food.
I like the term unlearning.
And I think we have a lot to support our kids, because I think with social media, looks, body image things are really, really important. And so I think we have a lot to do in leading by example and eating our, not skipping meals and not living off coffee or, and just, choosing to eat foods that's in line with our values and our various health needs.
Yeah, there's the choice word again, right? The choice.
Yeah, so I think both. And again, working in public health, we set menu standards for the schools or for childcare settings. I know you work with a lot of childcares at the Family Resource Center. And so there are standards that we do set so that there are good options. But even at the individual level, I think the choice is important. Can
I ask, you mentioned school lunch programs. Was public health involved with that to some degree?
Absolutely.
And sorry, it was the breakfast program and the lunch program now? Can you clarify for me?
We're really grateful. The province has given they have given sustained funding to help our lunch program. And so this coming September, it'll roll out in all of the schools across the province. Some of our Mi'kmaq schools, they are self-determining how that's going to look for them, but our public school system is going to have from K to 12 or pre-primary to 12, sorry. And then federal funding has been, Prime Minister Mark Carney has put that in the budget permanently, and that helps support a lot of the breakfast programs at schools.
That's great.
So the great news is across the province, you'll
that's
have
good.
breakfast
Because I knew I just heard that recently because there was feedback from the students too on what would be some choices possibly too, right?
Yeah, especially as it rolls out to high school.
Definitely.
What a 6-year-old eats is a little different than what a 16-year-old eats, right?
Sometimes,
same with the portion sizes.
Even some adults.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I want to tie it into, because I love hearing that information. So here's an anchor I want to see what you think about. Resilience isn't always doing more. Sometimes it's about finally sitting down long enough to enjoy your meal. So we talked about that a little bit. What's your experience with that?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I grew up with a mom that cooked from scratch.
Oh, wow.
And everything in our freezer was homemade. And even the frozen corn was from our garden. And
you
she had
probably
one of those electric knives. I sure did. And so I remember at some point having my mom over. I was an adult, I had kids, and I had her over, and my muffins were made from a muffin mix.
Oh.
And I didn't want to tell her.
Oh.
And
she probably could tell.
Oh, she could totally. I could tell. Everyone can tell, right? Totally different taste. And then I had to have this moment of this is what I can do for right now. So back to your comment, that anchoring comment, right? We don't all have the time to cook everything from scratch. We can't always buy everything from the local farmer's market. But can you do what you can do?
Right.
Right? And if you just maybe you're just consistently buying your apples locally, or if you're just consistently having breakfast, whatever that may look like what can you do? And there'll be a time and a place where you maybe get some extra help from a dietitian or from a health coach. And there'll be a time where you're just no, my capacity is here. I'm maxed out. Yeah, but I'm going to try to have breakfast.
And it can be good enough. Because I think there's that pressure that you have to be the Instagrammable movie, Hollywood TV show person. And people forget TV shows that are, quote, reality aren't reality. They're scripted and they're a certain point. That's not life. That's not life.
And I definitely know we live in a smaller community, and I will be in the grocery store. Sometimes I'll run into people I know, and I know they're looking at my cart, and I'm I'm doing what I can, friend.
I forgot. That's right. What she got in there. That's right. She's at the store. Okay, I have some other conversation prompts because this is a good one to lead into. You mentioned a couple things. What foods do immediately take you back to your childhood, Becca? You said your mom made some from scratch.
Cookies. Cookies are my favorite food. If it's round with sugar in it, it's probably my favorite food. Yeah.
Is that a new food area?
Yeah. That's the new food group. Yeah. We would have. I'm Dutch, so So tea time and coffee time at my Oma's was huge. So a lot of cookies, a lot of chocolate, but also the garden is huge. So a lot of fresh. Like just fresh everything.
Can you remember back to the tea times? Was it multiple people there? Was it relatives, friends?
Yeah.
Pretty consistent?
Oh, at my Oma's house, absolutely. I think 10:30 was coffee break. And 2:30 was tea time. Yeah, it was.
Oh, a couple of times in the day.
Yeah, no, nice. I didn't live with my Oma, but every weekend we'd go visit, and it was like religious. Standard. You did not miss this.
You knew it was happening.
Yeah, it was great. Oh, as a smaller child, it was the best thing in the world.
Of course.
Tea time. Board games with your Oma, the best.
Oh, and even board games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's part of that resilience. So this just feathers off that. Are there particular meals that remind you of people you love? I know you mentioned the cookies. Are there meals that you would think of going to Oma's or your mom's or relatives?
Well, I'm not going to totally answer that question because you're making me think of my son's graduating grade 8 this Monday. And I was just thinking today, what am I going to make for a graduation meal?
Okay.
And I'm going to make him ham and scalloped potatoes because that's like his favorite. And I love this question because there's different people that are in your life. Like it's a way that I get to show him how I love him.
Yeah.
And I know vice versa. My mom and different people in my life would show me their love by like making me my favorite things. And so I'm just kind of like, ooh, I like that I'm making my son his favorite meal for his graduation.
And that's his favorite.
Yeah. But my mom, fresh fruit salads and like big garden salads. Like that would be, because that's a lot of time to prep.
Yeah, I can see it in your face that you can go there very quickly.
Very easily. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm. Okay. What role has food played during seasons of grief or transition? What would you say to that? What would your answer be?
Yeah. So I would probably be the first person if I knew that a friend was going through a transition or had lost someone. I'm like, what can I make? What food can I bring? Because I know that when I'm in a crisis, it's easy to not take care of yourself. And just because my world is often food, I'm like, I want to nourish you so that you can handle this tricky time a little bit easier. Yeah. And so, oh dear, can you repeat the question?
Mike? Oh, no, it's all good. No. Just where grief and transition, what role food plays there?
Yeah, I think it plays like a very supportive role. So whether I'm going through the grief or transition or I'm supporting a friend, I want them to be able to eat well. And I think I recently moved and I had a dear friend say, how can I help you? And I said, you make the best energy bars.
You said that to them. Okay.
Would you bring me some?
Yes.
And then I just lived off energy bars as I'm, painting my new house and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So I think a supporting role, I would say.
Yeah, and that's kind of the last episode we had Sue here, and she was talking about how grief, and I had mentioned my dad had passed away a year ago, and having friends that they said, I'm making soup. Can I bring some to you? Yes, you can. Yeah. And people brought things. And during, especially the first few weeks when Dad passed, we had a selection and we could say like Becca brought that or Donna brought that. And just to be able to pop it in or heat it up. It does more than what people think it actually does, I think.
And Mike, like when you make food, it takes time. So if I make you a meal, it's not just that food, like you said. It's like Becca spent 2 hours. She gave 2 hours of her time for this. Like
and then you brought it.
Yeah, it's just an investment. So it's also our way of saying like, you're worth it.
Right.
I'm willing to like pause my life to like let you know that I love you and making food is time.
That's part of that helping people be resilient. Here's one for you. Have community meals or food traditions help you feel connected?
Yeah, I think back. Is it 5 years ago now that the VCLA here in Kentville?
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Started their community suppers, and I remember going at the very beginning when there'd be like 12 of us there, and the kids would come. We'd play Uno. I remember that very clearly. And then just I don't go every week by any means, but during those first 2 years, I think we were pretty decently there every week. and just really liked how it plugged me into my community. I really, really like that. And then I know in my neighborhood, actually this Saturday, tomorrow, we're having a neighborhood potluck.
Oh, a neighborhood
and
one.
different, there's kind of...
Is it really a potluck?
It is.
Okay.
They have no idea what I'm bringing.
Okay,
and I'm not going to
good.
say it on air
Okay,
either.
good. Don't say it on air.
Yeah. And I love how that started well before COVID. And just like get to know your neighbors better. I really, really love
And
eating
don't you
together.
find people light up when it is something passionate? Like, where did you get that apple pie? Or
yeah, what's your recipe?
I'm the first person, like, I probably should have a sponsorship with Cumin. Like, every time people say, I'm going to my favorite place, and they know where I'm going. I'm going to Cumin.
So do all your potlucks have you bringing food from Cumin? Because I want to go to your potlucks.
Have I done that? No. Wednesdays, we bring the carrot cake cookies to the office.
Oh, snap.
But Cumin's one of those places that has, like you said, they make things from scratch, and it's like the fresh scones. There are others. I'm just saying that's one of the ones I go to, and I get excited about telling people.
Yeah.
A chai latte.
My favorite.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
It's like you get excited. As you said, the opposite can happen. People can be deterred from having chips, but sometimes, as you mentioned earlier, maybe I do need the bag of chips.
If I can just indulge you with a little silly story about chips.
I like the word indulge.
I was pregnant with my first kiddos. This is about 17 years ago. And I used to teach at Mount St. Vincent University. Yeah. And I was pregnant, but I hadn't shared that news with my students yet. And I needed salt and vinegar chips. I remember eating the chips and just feeling the eyes of every... this is a fourth-year seminar. They're all staring at their teacher going...
what's
she's
happening?
eating chips. Like, is it like, what's going on here? And then after class, having one of my students come and talk with me about it, not like she was judging me, but just being like, is everything okay?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm pregnant. Like, oh, as if I needed to have that kind of big reason to eat chips. Or I'm like, or I wanted salt and vinegar chips.
Or I wanted, yes, see, there's the part.
Like, that judgment is really interesting. And so
it flies
I think every once in a while, we probably just all need to open up a bag of chips and eat it in public and see what kind of conversation we get to strike up.
I love it. Okay. On the Joy and Resilience Practice podcast, we always take the conversation and end with 7 questions.
Okay.
Are you okay to have 7 questions asked of you?
I am okay.
Have you done your homework?
Well, you told me not to over-prepare, but I did listen to the whole first season again.
That's a great plug. Yeah. That's a great... Look, she did her homework. She listened, Alex. There you go. Okay. As we continue with the season 2, I come back to these questions to help ground every conversation. These questions remind us that resilience isn't only built during difficult seasons. It's practiced every day, often in ways we hardly notice. So here are the questions, Becca. Are you ready for number 1?
I'm ready.
Okay. I don't know if there's a bag of chips at the end, but here we go. What's one small moment of joy that's been grounding you lately?
Oh, I recently moved and my house is a lot smaller. My property is a lot smaller. So I wake up every morning and I'm like, oh, I can manage this. Like, this is doable. And I just get really excited because my house is full of color and just random furniture that doesn't necessarily match, but it's all colorful. And
it fits.
Does
it fit?
It makes me really happy.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it brings me a lot of joy just seeing the things that I've curated and like all the furniture pieces have a story to them, and that makes me very joyful.
And you've moved into, that's awesome. Number 2, when you think about resilience in your own life, what's a moment you're really proud of? And there may be multiple, but can you pick one?
A moment in my life that I'm really proud of that I was resilient in. We had a family member in the hospital a little over a year ago. And I figured out a way to like really support that person that I love.
Oh, great.
And still, do my paid work and my volunteer work. And I was really happy. And I think that is possible because I'm surrounded by beautiful friends, beautiful
support.
Colleagues that help make that happen.
Yes.
But I'm really glad that in that incredibly, like, it was long and challenging time, I felt like, I can do this because I'm surrounded by really, really supportive people.
You had a network.
Yeah, network. Yeah.
Thank you. Ready for the next one? Mm-hmm. Number 3. What does it look like for you to recharge when your capacity feels low? And have you gotten better at that? Are you still in the skip lunch, answer emails, and hope coffee solves everything stage?
My best place to recharge is walking in the woods with my dog and a friend. And I think I'm pretty good at that. I've got a lovely group of friends, and they don't necessarily all know each other, but there's a lot of friends with dogs in my life.
Friends and dogs. Yes.
Yeah. And so
I think that's a different podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like even this morning, I walking at the bird sanctuary with a friend and our dogs, and that is probably the best way for me to.
You know what I can say to that? The number of times I've seen you lately is crossing the street with your dog. I have blown the horn probably 3 times in the past 2 weeks. It's been you coming across with your dog. Yeah, you coming across and there's Becca with the dog. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, number 4. Who or what has been an unexpected source of comfort or support for you? And you can pick whatever dynamic. You're not leaving anybody out, but you can name who you think would.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie.
Or what. When
you ask that question to your first season guests, I'm struggling because when I think of the word unexpected, like I said before, I really do have a really supportive network of colleagues and friends, and my colleagues are my friends and family, and I couldn't think of something unexpected, so I'm just gonna say gratefully my friends and family show up.
It's all expected.
They're No, I'm just saying they're consistently awesome. And my kids are also consistently awesome.
Well, that's good to have supportive kids. That's great, especially ones graduating.
Yeah.
All right, we're on to number 5.
Okay.
And I think you might have touched on this, but maybe there's something else you can share. Number 5, what's one food, meal, or recipe or tradition that immediately brings you back to joy, comfort, or connection? So any of the food realm of things. Like you've mentioned a few meals from mom and stuff. Is there a tradition or another part that, if we do this, I'm connected, I'm joyful, I'm comforted?
Probably that cup of tea. You mentioned like a chai tea latte from Cumin. Like mine would be like a chai tea latte anywhere, because I don't really slow down very well. And so if a friend brings me a tea or we meet up for a tea, it means I've committed to like slowing down, facing you and having a conversation. And so I would say that or London fog, those two smells.
Sorry, that's my other one.
I'd say holding a warm mug and smelling that just really does slow me down.
That's how Tim's got me. They have London fogs.
But I think also going back to like growing up with both my Oma and my grandma, like a cup of tea just made me feel grown up having tea.
Oh yes, of course it would.
And just really, that
I can see the comfort and joy coming out of your face on that one. That's great. Okay, number 6. In your own way, how do you help create spaces where others experience joy, nourishment, or resilience?
I think I'm a pretty decent connector and cheerleader. And I guess to give some examples of how I hope that I help my friends be more resilient. Like let's say they have a goal, like a big race, or they're going to travel and have a big hike.
Yes.
I'm like, I will be your like Wednesday at 7:00 run partner, or I will meet you here. And I don't need to do the big thing, but I'm really excited to like help my friends do the big thing. Or kind of how we alluded to before, if there's a loss or a big transition time, I'm really happy to be that support. There. Or if there's someone that's pregnant, I'll organize the meal train.
You're gonna bring the chips.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna organize the meal train.
Organize the meal train. I like that.
Something that I've kind of just naturally gravitated towards in my life in multiple settings, like work, church, neighborhood, whatever. I'm just like, I'll be that person that
she appears.
She
you
always
appear.
Brings food.
Both of you appear with the things that are like, look at this.
I know. I brought fresh strawberries. They're in my bag.
Oh, you did? We should have got them out.
Well, after.
Okay, here's number 7. Our last question for this episode. If you could go back and tell a younger version of yourself one thing about nourishment, joy, or resilience, what would it be?
Yeah, I've thought about this, and And I think I would be one of those people that I probably gave food too much power, in a younger version of myself.
Yes.
Yeah, where I, especially when you want to become a dietitian, you can kind of put an expectation of what that should outside look like. And so I would want to go back and say to teenage Becca, you know what, run for wellness.
Run for wellness.
Play those sports for wellness, eat for wellness, not for anything else. kind of let that be joyful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of
others' expectations
looking at nutrient content. And that can probably be a lot of dietitians maybe have a little bit of we got to work through that. Because stuff
from childhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's great.
So I think just let food be joyful and don't give it the power that it doesn't deserve.
I think that's a bumper sticker. I like that. Thank you. There's a lot in those questions and answers, Becca. So here's our final reflection. If you're listening today, I hope this conversation reminds you that nourishment matters. Connection matters. Community matters. And joy can sometimes be found in simple things. A warm meal, a favorite recipe, a chai latte with a friend, a family tradition, or finally taking a moment, and maybe, just maybe, with a few more moments where the coffee does stay warm. This is the joy. Stay rooted in joy and keep rising in resilience. Take care of you, and we'll see you on the next episode.